It's Mazzy here, Record Store Day, July 2021, and you're going to see a little bit of my morning situation, which was pretty sweet. 5 a.m., number 9 in line, they handed out lists. I grabbed, I wanted 13 titles, I got 12 out of my 13 titles, and I was out literally by 8 o'clock, 8:15 in the morning or so. List, saw some friends, and that was it. Where it started.
I can't do a thing like
Tell me about this Hendrix thing.
the Jimi Hendrix record, the last record he made, studio record he made, Electric Ladyland, and his intention was to have a photo of the band with children at a sculpture of the
I've seen
Alice
that
in
picture.
Wonderland. So the new album came out with 6 records in it, different versions of stuff and different takes, whatnot. Original versions, and then a remastered version, and a Blu-ray.
Well, that's a few years ago, the box set.
But they want like $110 for it.
Yeah.
Brand new.
Yeah.
So to go and spend, that much money on, I've been listening to War all my life.
Wow, so much generosity. Who's next? Gonna keep passing it down the line, Mark?
Yes.
We don't want you to die.
I'll take a pencil too. Thank you.
Certainly.
Number nine.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
The
Number
most
9.
sought after number.
That's what I had last time. Wow, what a
Wow.
coincidence.
All right.
$1980 was a good year.
Music.
It's not on vinyl, I don't think, but I think.
Hey, Coffee Dave, what'd you get, Coffee Dave?
Well, okay. Here we go.
Well, we can do it somewhere else. We're standing in the middle. You want to do it?
You can do an edit. Yeah, we'll do.
We'll do an edit.
Yeah, we'll do it with a beer.
So, Coffee Dave, since you're a Seattleite, tell me about Numos. Numos is this club right there. It's a kind of famous club, but then the Comet Tavern. Wasn't the Comet Tavern used in Singles or one of those movies?
I believe the Comet Tavern was in Singles, and of course Mo, but being across the street, no performances at the Comet, but you definitely have performances over at Mo. Great shows, at least ones that I've seen. The last show was the Melvins for me back in October of 2019. So,
I saw Temples there. The band, the UK band Temples there. I saw the Baseball Project with Peter Buck. And Mike Mills from REM, and the guy from Dream Syndicate. I'm blanking on right now, but
I'm blanking on that too.
there we go.
Yeah,
And there's the Comet Tavern, famous Comet Tavern, and we're gonna go at the Lost Lake. Maybe it looks like there's a line.
Oh yeah.
This is sort of a breakfast shake. They call this a Seattle breakfast shake, right?
This is the Seattle breakfast shake. Yeah. I mean,
The Seattle breakfast shake. This is the Seattle Lager.
yeah, on a Saturday.
It's Saturday. It's a breakfast shake.
This isn't a Monday. We're not talking Monday.
No. Lost Lake. Cheers.
Cheers.
Let's have a toast to our friend Coleman. Coleman. The last time Coleman and I hung out with Brother Dave, or Coffee Dave, we'll call him Brother Dave right now, was we did a pay-per-view of the Grateful Dead, the July 4th, about 5 years ago, 6 years ago?
2015.
2015, Grateful Dead. So to Brother Coleman, we miss you, buddy.
So much, man.
And cheers.
Always in our hearts, man. Always.
Yeah, Record Store Day. Cheers. It's psychedelic. So first I went this morning to Silver Platters. I went to Zion's Gate and the Capitol Hill, that small store, and here's what Dave got.
The miles. Gotta go with the miles. Outtakes. Why not? Jack Johnson, 1970, right?
And those are, some of these cuts are on the CD spinal, metal spine.
Yeah, the Columbia box sets.
Right.
Yeah, which are illustrious and awesome in their own right. Yeah, and then this is for the older crowd that wants to listen to some bad live metal music. Michael Schenker. There you go. You know, Scorps and all that?
Yep.
There you go.
Like kind of krautrock, but more heavier krautrock.
Yeah, it's like krautrock.
I know Scorpions, yeah.
Kind of arena krautrock in a lot of ways, I think. And then, you know, the B-Boys.
Yeah, I got that. That's their early kind of more punky, metal-y stuff.
Yeah, just their punky outtakes. And of course, this one's kind of a fancy one. Bill Evans, man.
Fancy schmancy.
Fancy schmancy. It's a 3-record set. I haven't heard it, but I think it's live in Germany. 69 is awesome. So had to go with that. And Small Faces, had to go with that.
Great.
You know?
That looks good.
That was a good one. And then you go like.
Now, I got that too because I have the CD. I love that CD because John Bryan, who's worked with Madonna, Fiona Apple, really interesting LA, somewhat ambient, also remixed, electronic, but really cool musician and artist. So I love that soundtrack. It mixes, I mean, obviously ELO is on there, but I like the John Bryan stuff.
Which is something that I was not aware of for whatever reason. It was good to bounce it off somebody like Mazzy who can like say, hey. And I heard, even though I heard that was a good album, when Mazzy mentioned it, I was like, oh, maybe I should reconsider it. Because I haven't heard of him as an electronics guy.
Right.
So we'll move it to
Hall and Oates.
Hall and Oates action.
All right.
Voices haven't
So
heard
who's your favorite, Hall or Oates?
Ooh.
Everyone says Hall. It's got to be Hall. Sorry, Oates.
Chicken or egg?
Right, okay. I saw them once only live at Winterland. Only time I went to Winterland where they had actual seating.
And they're Philly boys.
Are they? Okay. I should have known that. I probably did. I forgot.
Philly soul. And there's another Mazzy recommendation.
I didn't get this because I have an original Liberty, but I love that record. 2-record live, Living the Blues, Canned Heat. It's got a 40-minute version of, let's see, Refried Boogie Part 1 and 2. See right there. 40 minutes of Refried Boogie.
Canned Heat. Got it.
Is that it?
Oh, wait, almost there. Oh, wait, one more.
I think we both got this guilty pleasure, didn't we? I can't believe I bought a fucking Donna Summer record because my friend Vernon gave me a promo that years ago. That was on Casablanca, I think.
Yeah, Casablanca.
And Vernon, my friend, worked for Casablanca. He gave me a promo that which I had and I purged in '95, and now I fucking bought it for too much money because I'm in the mood. Impulse buy.
What's an impulse buy? It's a joke. It's a bad joke. Have you ever heard?
What is an impulse buy?
Yeah, what's in it? Oh, get it? Haha.
So here we go. Here's what we got for Record Store Day. Now let me tell you, I went to 2 stores. I got up early, went to Silver Platters Soto, south of downtown in the sort of industrial area of Seattle. And I like Silver Platters because it's physically a large store, but this year they started doing the list thing. Actually, I think they probably started that during lockdown. So I got there at 5 a.m. and what happens, I was 9th in line. Ironically, last month I got there about 5:45 and I was 9th in line. About 7 o'clock, they hand out sheets and you do up to your 15 picks. You can't do more than 15. And they collect the list at 8 o'clock, or excuse me, they collect the list at about about 7:30, 7:45, and at 8 o'clock, they start calling you by number order. So I think I got all but one record that I wanted. I did not get the And Peoples. They were out of that, even at, I think they only had a few copies. But it was very civilized, and by 8:15, 8:20, I was out, went to the cafe, met Coffee Dave because he slept in. Then we went over to Zion's Gate in Capitol Hill, small store. They do a lot of heavy metal. They do a lot of reggae and punk records, a lot of t-shirts. But if you're still looking for record store product in the U.S., suggest one of the record stores you check out is Zion's Gate, because they seem to have a lot of product, but things are going to be pricey there. So let's get on with, we came back. Coffee Dave came over here, Archivist was here, and we played records all afternoon until we watched the 6-part, this is getting off the track here a little bit, the 6-part McCartney 3-2-1. It's on Hulu in America. And it's mostly in black and white with some archived photographs and footage, but a great intimate interview by Rick Rubin, the great producer, with Paul McCartney. And I just gotta say, we binge watched all 6 episodes, 3 hours worth. It's fantastic. Now, I'm gonna do a little bit of a rant on when I read the Hoffman forums and some of these forums. Most people like it, but there are older farts, I will say, that are saying, it's too dark and moody and black and white. It's shot in this beautiful, minimal artsy black and whites. If you remember the Hurt video, Johnny Cash, 20-something years ago, how it was in shadows and everything, some of it's shot like that, but it's really, really good. Also, some of those old fans, I use that term lightly, we've already seen that. We know that story. We've heard that before. When you do a documentary or a presentation like this, you can't go in saying, they know this, so we're not going to include that. You need to make this as an entity unto itself. So that's all I'm going to say. That highly recommended. You can binge it in a night, and there's some things I learned. Yeah, there's some stories I heard, but it was really, really good. And they play some of the multi-track tapes of most of Beatles stuff and some solo things. So, okay. This album. This was my first and only original wish list. This is John Martin's The Church with One Bell. Those of you who may know John Martin, he comes from that. He was on Island Records originally. I saw him on a great show, Winterland, in the early 70s. An island-only show, Island Records, with Traffic, John Martin, and the band Free. And he was kind of folky, jazzy. He used to use a lot of effects on his guitar and echoey. If you know his song, May You Never on Solid Air, it's happening. But this is like in the 90s, and 1998 this was originally recorded. And the deal with this, these are all covers. There's a Portishead song, there's a Randy Newman song, there's a great, amazing, sexy, sultry, deep voice version of Strange Fruit that Billie Holiday made famous. Wonderful, wonderful song. It's a gorgeous record. Some of it's a little R&B, but it just, as you get into it, the bass sounding on this is amazing. It only came out with several hundred copies, I think, originally, so copies were going for $300-400 on Discogs, and when I saw this was coming out, I just had to have it. So maybe not everyone's taste, but it's a gorgeous record, John Martin, and the deal was the label wanted him to do a covers record, which he wasn't really enamored with, so the deal was they bought him this church in trade for doing this covers album. I mean, I can't imagine the church being a lot of money in those days, depending on where it was, but I don't know the whole story there, but wonderful record. I really recommend it. It's one of their half-speed masters, Abbey Road, but I'm not necessarily a proponent of the half-speed mastering, but it does really sound good. This is Kraft. I wish the cover was thicker. It's not, it's normal. But Kraft, when they do their beautiful, nice covers, it's just impeccable. The other one I really wanted was first on my list, which I got, is the War Box. Rhino put it out, really well done, beautiful covers, has all their albums except the first album that Eric Burton declares war. However, Eric Burton from the Animals kind of hooked up with his band, and they backed him on that album with that song Spill the Wine. This album is sort of organized. I'm not sure if it's produced by Eric Burton or he kind of did the cover concept and put it together. But then, of course, after this, they went on their own. And I really was enamored in the 70s with this band because of Lee Oskar, partly the great harmonica player. And this album is fantastic. I have 3 of their originals. 2 of mine are in good shape. One is not. These are colored vinyl. I tried to look in the dead wax. I don't know who mastered them, but I listened to 3 of them last night, including this one, and they sound fantastic. And every time I've tried to buy these up over the last several years, and every time I find one, it looks good, it ends up not being good. So wonderful, wonderful collection, and I like the cover concept. And there's a little there's an insert war. So it's a very kind of somewhat Latin-based, soulful, jazzy fusion of soul and rock and roll and jazz, and a beautiful, beautiful collection of records. And my guess is these will come out individually. I don't know that for a fact, but that's just kind of my guess. But I wanted that. Another that I almost didn't get, but so far it's one of my favorites, and I've listened so far. The ones I've shown you, I listened to 3 of the War albums, John Martin and this Bobby Gentry. This is The Windows of the World. This is an album she recorded after her collaboration, her duo album with Glenn Campbell. And this was never released. And this is her jazz record. So think of it like Bobby Gentry, if you know her song, Ode to Billy Joe. She's got this sort of Chickasaw County southern, soulful, raspy voice, reminiscent to Dusty Springfield a little bit, but just gorgeous. And she does these covers very much like a Julie London record, where it's sultry and sexy and wonderful arrangements. And this album was never released. Now, 2 years ago, the guy who produced this and put it together is Andrew Batt, this Brit producer, did an amazing 8 CD box set of the entire Bobby Gentry, the fabulous book, and I've showed that on my channel. I highly recommend, if you really are into him and her, really into Bobby Gentry, into CDs, you get that box set. That stuff's on here, but hearing it on vinyl, hearing it, with a couple outtakes, it's wonderful. This Girl's in Love with You, which is the song that was a Herb Alpert hit. God Bless the Child. Here's That Rainy Day. What a gorgeous sounding album. Great pressing, and this one I believe is on a nice black vinyl. Everything else these days, a lot of this stuff today from yesterday seemed to be colored vinyl. I'm recording this Sunday morning, so this is the morning after. I'm warming up my espresso machine. Haven't had coffee yet. Haven't listened to this yet, but I'm a Dylan completist. 12 is single, and this is the great Dr. Dredd doing reggae mix EP of Joker Man and I, which apparently I was told yesterday in line by a guy I met last year who was a big Dylan fan, that apparently the rumors are bubbling, they haven't been announced, that the next bootleg series will be the 80s stuff, like Infidels and Joker Man and that period, which I'm really excited about. That would be the Daniel Lanois stuff as well. So we'll see if that happens in this coming year. But really looking forward to this, because I'm a great big Dylan fan. Of course, the great Small Faces are singles from Decca and Immediate Records. And of course, one of the greatest singles of all time of the 60s, sort of pop psychedelic, Ichigu Park, and then Here Comes the Nice. It opens up, the first few songs are these kind of very bluesy, soulful, wonderful, like amazing songs here. So, God, I love this record. Now, this was put together by Kenny Jones, who was the original member. What's great about this, it has an actual signed postcard of Kenny Jones, and these aren't printed. These are actually signed. Great kind of extra thing they include in here. And it talks about each member. Steve Marriott's that intense, soulful voice that's raspy, and the first 2 or 3 cuts are screaming out with this great white soul, white power pop, rock and roll soul. And then obviously with Ronnie Lane to get into the more poppier stuff, but in a beautiful way. So, I mean, I have different comps on CD, and I have several records, but it's kind of fun. I mean, oh, this is interesting. What's great is they kind of recreate the Decca label on one side and the Immediate label on the other side. And this is, you know, I'm fine with this, but I'm not a splattery, colory, tweaky record color fan usually. So either way, but it's so be it. It does sound good, and it's I mean, some of those recordings weren't great sounding to begin with, so but it's a great rock and roll record. I almost didn't get this, but I did get the box set recently, which not the vinyl box set that has everything on vinyl. That's a pricey, limited set directly from Rhino. But I did get the reissue of Deja Vu. That sounds amazing, and that box includes 4 CDs of backups, which are really good. This is sort of a recreation of alternate Deja Vu that has some of those outtakes put together as one album, and it's fantastic. The recordings sound great. The arrangements are different. If you know that album really, really well, you'll hear the differences. A lot of little interesting changes here. Different array of photographs in here. But fantastic collection, beautiful package. I like how they went light because the original is that dark brown leatherette. This is really good. This is really good. The whole Laurel Canyon LA vibe is showing, but the harmonies, the vocals on this, as you know, on the original are fantastic. And I think Bob Bradley is, I would agree with him. If you don't have this album at all, get the original. That's the one to get. But having said that, this is a great, you know, if you're a fan of like more, you know, on another level, go for this. You know, maybe you don't need it if that's all you want and you don't really care about alternate versions of the same songs. Fantastic. The box set has all these extra songs that weren't on the original album, on CD and on the expanded box set, but I don't have the vinyl version. Now this is something I was looking forward to because I got the version last year. This is John Hurlbut and Jorma Kakkonen. If you don't know Jorma, where have you been? You know really good San Francisco-based rock, psychedelic, and blues. Jorma Kakkonen was the original lead guitar player, Jefferson Airplane. Of course, him and Jack Cassidy were the nucleus of Hot Tuna. And Jorma has Fur Peace Ranch in Ohio. And my friend Jazz Shit Brooks has gone to several guitar workshops here over the years where you stay the weekend nearby. And there's maybe a handful of people, you know, jamming with people and learning guitar techniques and, you know, workshops of, and I think they do a little show at the end with Jorma. Sometimes Jack Cassidy's been there. I think John has been a member of it. And this is acoustic-based folk music, blues, rootsy folk music, not unlike Hot Tuna, but all acoustic-based. And this is all cover stuff, and it's got, you know, Dylan's Knockin' on Heaven Door, Graham Parsons' Hickory Wind. It's got All on the Watchtower, the great Dylan song that, and This Land Is Your Land, Woody Guthrie. So it's fantastic. It's the same exact cover picture as the last one. The last one had a grayish tint. This is a bright blue tint. Fantastic record if you're into rootsy music. And sticking with folky kind of music, Cat Stevens' soundtrack to Harold and Maude. Now, I remember in the 70s when Harold and Maude was this great big cult film, we'd constantly have people coming in the store asking for a Harold and Maude soundtrack. Didn't exist. Most of these songs were on Tea for the Tillerman and you know, the 2 albums around that period, but several were not. And I heard someone mention to me, actually in line yesterday, that this album did come out a few years ago as sort of an import. I don't know if it's a music on vinyl, one of those, or a version of this. I never saw that, but in the 90s I did see iTunes had a soundtrack download of this album with all the songs. And of course, If You Want to Sing Out was a song that was not on any other album at the time, is on here. And so fantastic music. I mean, this is the sweet spot for Cat Stevens. And this one has this beautiful orange. I think there's a choice of orange or yellow. I like the orange. because it's so mid-century. It's so like kumquat. It's so orange. But fantastic. I did listen to this last night too. This is an album, again, I almost didn't get, but I don't know if you heard in the video in Zion's Gate, they were playing it, but I do have an original of this album, but I like Run Out Groove. They do beautiful, beautiful packaging. This is a 3-record set, so it's not a cheap one, but has more outtakes and alternate versions and some instrumental things and different takes. And this is the Dr. John the Night Tripper, the Sun, the Moon, and the Herbs. But I love Dr. John. It should have been on my list because I think he's one of the greats, and I almost included him in my recent gospel-y rock and roll video. I didn't, but he could have fit in there. But that's maybe for a different day. Everything, but it's good. It's really good. I love this soundtrack. I've had the CD of this since the movie came out. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Jim Carrey, one of those artsy, wonderful, wonderful films. And on the first 2 discs is a mix of instrumental theme music by John Bryan. John Bryan is sort of part of this Los Angeles collective, producer, arranger, electronic synthesizer, and just really interesting musician in the Los Angeles area. Has worked with Madonna. He worked with, there's a great version of one of Fiona Apple's albums that he did the whole thing, and that was scrapped, and another version came out. But seek out the John Bryan produced version of that Fiona album. It's the one with the peas, close up of the peas, and I'm blanking on the name right now. But side one also has, of course, Mr. Blue Sky, ELO, Polyphonic Spree, couple of tracks, and a Beck track, but a lot of the record is John Bryan instrumental stuff, and it's really interesting, beautiful, quirky. So this is a 2 LP set. I love this record, so I was excited about this too. It wasn't on my first list that I put together, but seeing it, and I skipped it in the morning, but I picked it up in the afternoon at Zion's Gate, or at 11 o'clock at Zion's Gate. I just love, this is a great just moody record to play with some pop songs mixed in. Now this is cool. This is the Beastie Boys, Aglio e Olio, and that means, what does it mean? It's Italian. Oh boy, it's Italian for oil, and it's like mixing a salad or a light pasta sauce, but using just oil and butter or something. I might be getting that somewhat wrong, so you Italian speakers will correct me. But this is a 1995 punk album that they did. They kind of came out of the punk scene, the Beastie Boys, and they obviously got into the whole rap thing and merged. But in between 2 of their records in the mid-90s, they recorded this. They were kind of putting together some songs, and I think they were hanging out or jamming with the drummer from Suicidal Tendencies, and ended up writing these songs that were punk songs. So they decided to put out an EP. The original EP was only 11 minutes. There are 2 extra tracks on here that are covers, a version of Light My Fire and one other, I forgot which one. So it's not a long album, but it's like an EP plus. And it's very punky and very minimal. So it's an intense kind of punk rock album. I really like it. I haven't heard the extra tracks. I think it came out on CD and maybe obviously on vinyl minimally originally in 95, but Beastie Boys here. This record I know because this is the Twilight Reeling double album, Lou Reed. Look at that beautiful cover. I haven't opened this one. I haven't listened to the vinyl yet, but I've had the CD. I got all his Warner Brothers CDs, mostly because I had a friend who worked for Warner Brothers, and I'd get promos of them. And this is really a good, dark Lou Reed record. And this is from the 90s, I believe, too, late 90s maybe. After New York, that period, really great package. And I'm not going to open it right now, but I'm sure this is really great artwork. And this is Rhino Records, so Rhino obviously does good stuff. Only got 2 jazz records this time. The whole series of the reel-to-reel and resonance records. I didn't get a lot of those. Is it called Renaissance? Renaissance? Resonance? They're pretty pricey these days. I saw the Bill Evans for like $80 to $100 in two different places. I decided I have a lot of Bill Evans, and I love Bill Evans, but I passed. But I got this one because it's a little more out there, and I don't have any Roy Brooks. And this is Roy Brooks' Understanding with Woody Shaw, Carlos Garnett, Harold McBean, and Cecil McBee. And I've heard some of this music. It's more out there jazz. I like that they actually, on these heavy 3-record sets, they put the records in the back so you don't have split seams. That's kind of a nice thing, very loose package. So hopefully this should be really a great version of this, but I like this a lot. And the last jazz album I got is this, because I love the Jack Johnson album. It says the more rock and crazy period of Miles Davis with John McLaughlin, and it's really good. Jack Johnson, the fighter, and I loved it too because this cover photograph I showed on a different Miles album, a reissue on I think it was Prestige Fantasy in the 70s. This is a photograph taken by Jim Marshall, who I knew for about 25 years, who died about 12 years ago or so. Great shot, perfect shot, because Jack Johnson was a boxer. I do have these tracks on the Metal Spine Miles Davis set, complete Jack Johnson sessions, but had to get this. And then lastly, this was the most expensive, it wasn't an impulse buy. I thought about it on and off, and I kind of bought it for my son. Now my son Joseph, I'm gonna put a link below because I did a recent back and forth drive to Portland, and Joseph and I talked music in the car. And if you're interested in father and son discussions about music, check that out. They're below, not for everybody, but somebody called it pretentious and boring in one of the comments. But it was just great, having a 3-hour conversation on music and recording about 20 minutes to 30 minutes of it with Joseph. But Joseph's 30 now. When he was growing up, I would brainwash him and play all this music for him. But one of the records that, one of the artists that he actually brought to me were the Gorillaz. And what this is a full box set of there's 10 LPs in here, 10 Gorillaz albums. Ends up being about $18 a record, which per record is great, but you're paying $180 for a box set. Dave Album from Blur is the main genesis of this band. It's this kind of the virtual band where all these anime were used as the characters. And Joseph is an animator and a illustrator and storyboard artist. And he, that's probably why he got into that in a young age. He was really interested in drawing, and so he loved the anime of it. He loves, obviously, Japanese anime. And it's where David, is it Alburn? I'm always pronouncing probably his name wrong, but he's sort of the headmaster of Gorillaz. And I'm sure a lot of you know Gorillaz, maybe some of you old people out there don't. Very Britpop and some hip hop and a really nice mix. It brings in different musicians depending on the project. There's whole virtual videos of them as anime characters, and really cool stuff. Now, Joseph doesn't have a turntable, but he loves music. And so I kind of got this for him to leave here for the time being, and he can come and play it whenever he's visiting. He can put it here. If he ever gets a turntable, obviously I'll ship it to him. But or give it to him. But it was one of those sentimental things that we could play together when he visits, and of course at some point it'll be his anyway. So that's my last record store day, second drop project. Thanks for watching, and thanks for watching a little tour of Seattle earlier on. And check out McCartney 321. It's fantastic. Especially if you don't know that stuff, but even if you do, it takes another level. And they're not all just the greatest hit songs that they go through and you listen to the arrangements or bass parts or Harrison songs or Lennon songs. And Ringo's drumming. It's really interesting. I highly recommend it. I'm a Beatle fanatic, as you know. So I know this guy here, photographed by Richard Avedon. Mazzy loves you, and I really appreciate you watching. Click the subscribe button. It would be nice.